So this is a quick. I'll just be going through Create React app, and I'll be running through a few methods. So like just basically talking about what components are, what props are, and how what the parent-child relationship is to each other. So this is basically a Create React app. A simple what this does is it's a React boilerplate code which comes with certain files already downloaded, so you don't actually need to set up anything. So for instance, Babel, Webpack, everything is already set up for you, even for instance the node modules. So the biggest thing is the package.json. So imagine this is a project, and you're relying on external libraries. So you've got the testing library already that comes with React app. You've got the user event, React itself, the React DOM itself. So the React DOM is basically a virtual DOM that is similar to the original DOM. It's similar to the HTML structure that you see. So when you run npm install in your inbuilt terminal, for instance, when you say npm install, it will download all these packages and all the dependencies that comes along with this, and then it will store it into this node modules folder. So what I'll run through initially what a component is. So I'm going to be deleting this. This is code that comes with React itself. What we'll do is we'll start by just running. We'll run the Create React app, and we'll see what this component looks like. So just open it in this new localhost 3002. So when you run npm start, what it'll do is it'll run this app. It will run it by looking at this within this package.json. You've got some scripts that you can run, so you can always do npm. You can do start, build, test, eject. Start is the one that allows you to start the project, and it will already have built the project and it will run it. In some cases you would want to run build because your configuration of the application varies, but that's a different topic. And then test allows you to run React testing library, and it will pick up on any of these files that have this test app.test.js in the middle of it. It will be listing for these particular files. So when it runs, it will look at these files, it'll scan them, it'll run the tests that include within them. For instance, we've got one test over here, and then you can pretty much run that test. So going back to our app.js, you can see I've run the code itself, and you see the actual React spinner, and this is just the image, React image. You can see this React image over here, and it's just got the logo. So it loads up the logo first, and then it's using some sort of it's using keyframes to actually rotate it using translate in the CSS, but that's a different topic. And it's got a sort of p tag which says edit source app.js and save to reload, and then you've got your a tags. So I'm just going to come out of this. So actually what I'll run through this. So this is actually a functional component. It's not a class-based component, so you can see that it's just pure JavaScript. So the component itself is just a JavaScript component. What makes this component, the JavaScript component, React-based component, of a JavaScript function, what makes it a React component is the code that lives inside it. So it's actually returning a piece of code, HTML code, within a function, which basically means that you are getting some form of UI returning and adding to the DOM. So I will get rid of this code here. So you can see function app, it opens curly braces, and then you're returning some sort of UI in the middle. And so I'll say div So it's just like how you would be writing some HTML, and I can pass in shubs, and then now you can see shubs. So what I want to do is I want to say this is the parent, and what I'll do is I'll create another component just right here. So rather than creating a new file, just so that you know, I can create this component here. I'm using the arrow function, by the way, so I'm just going to return a one-liner that says div child. In this case, I will be using fragments because div, it adds an extra node. Fragments, it doesn't create these divs, these unnecessary divs. So when you look at your file structure in HTML, you would not get these unnecessary divs. It'd be pretty streamlined. So what I will do is, so I can never do children here. If I do children, it will throw an error because the word there are some keywords in React and JavaScript that are already reserved, so you can't use them as variables or function names. So we know that this is the parent. Within this parent, so in this case, because this is I am going to be putting these braces around it. So take this to the next line, and then I'm just gonna render the child element here. So you just do child like this, and then you can see parent child. So I can type in anything here and it will render separately. So what that does is it's saying that this is the current structure, but then as children I can bring in more components. So even if I were to say child twice, for instance, so I've got 3 children now. So I can basically set this up. So I just need to change this one time, and it changes the implementation for all the components, rather than actually setting these up 3 times like this, and then it will throw an error. But that's just to show example. If I were to say child 1, now to do child 2, 3, I have to do child 1, child 2, and then child 3. And then the thing is, there's a lot of sorry, child is not defined, and that's because we have line 18. That should, yeah, there we go. So not sure why that error persisted there. So I've changed everything. So it's child 1, child 2, child 3. Now if I wanted to change, let's say, the name here, so I can pass this down as an argument. I can say, just say name, right? And then I can pass down name right here, and all of them. So what I'm saying is that I want to change this and then add the name here. So what that will do is basically to make these components even further reusable, rather than hard coding information. Sorry, that should be name. And then here as well, like for instance, I'll leave this just to give you an example. So for instance, this is not taking any arguments, whereas these two are taking arguments. So you can actually you can pass down. So you see that in these two, the name is not being rendered, and that's because what we will need to do is we need to pass down an argument. So what I could just say is pass down a prop, and now you can see the shubs. If I do the same thing for the next one, I can pass this down, and you can see that there's a name again. However, if I were to do this for this last component, I can say John. So I'm just passing down the names, but this one it doesn't render because we've hard coded it. So if this is in different files, we would have to go into each file and change up the name. So that's why React is actually really powerful, because you can actually just make it super responsive. Now, if I just update the name over here, do it one more time, and then change this here, you can see that it's picking this name up and it's passing it down. Now the thing is, there's three children here: child 1, child 2, child 3, and that's just adding a lot of code. What we can do to further make it even further reusable and make it make the code readable is we can remove these children here and just call this child, take away these numbers, and funny enough, you can see that it's still working. Why is that the case? That's because we're just calling the child 3 times and we're passing down the argument. So props are just very similar to JavaScript arguments. When you pass it down from this component here, it gets passed down into this child component. And because name is dynamically being rendered, it's taking each prop and passing it down to the component itself. And now you can see that it's rendered like this. I can just quickly make it a little bit more readable, because it doesn't look that good. So I can say display flex. Sorry, it needs quotes. That should do it. So what I could say is, rather than doing display, I'll do block here. Actually, do flex, and then you say flex direction, and that's just styling. That's just saying, I'm gonna say column, and that should okay, no worries. So that's the reusability of our application. This is how React works. Thank you for watching.